Hello, YouTube friends. It's Ben Ochart here. Thank you so much for tuning in. And I thought I'd give you a video that's a little old school, back in the day where I would just show you my fish and just talk in the background. And today what I wanted to talk about with you are two things. One is I want to fill you in on where I think things are going and my objectives and the way I'm running things and my philosophy behind why I'm running them the way I am. And also at the end of today's video, I want to go ahead and do a short survey with you. Just ask you a couple questions and see what you think about two different alternatives. So I want to touch on what it is that I'm doing with these tanks for those of you who are not entirely familiar with the approach that I'm taking. And the approach I'm taking is not something new. It's actually very, very old school. Still, I believe, very much in use in the saltwater community and very, very simple in its application. And what I'm referring to is using or relying more on things that are not messed with as the home for the very vital beneficial bacteria. And in my case, what I've done is the tanks that I have set up now, the two larger tanks, are using a 3-inch substrate. So I have 3 inches of substrate in both of the 55s, and that is what I hope will actually start to be the home of the bulk of beneficial bacteria. The reason why that is desirable, why putting and counting on this as your as the home of your beneficial bacteria, is that you can lightly vacuum the top, and certainly the fish will turn it over. These fish will sift through it and turn over the top 1/4 to 1/2 inch. But below that, you're going to have a very, very stable, unmessed with environment that is conducive to beneficial bacteria, both aerobic and anaerobic. In the deeper parts of the substrate, both in this tank and also in the South American tank, the deeper parts of those substrates, being starved for oxygen, are actually very, very good for anaerobic bacteria, which can convert nitrate. In other words, turn the nitrate and turn it over so it can actually gas off. My filtration, like this expert matic that you see there attached to the wall, my filtration is being used more from the viewpoint of water polishing. I'm using it to, just remove particles floating in the water, and I'm not really counting on what's inside these filters, including the Marineland hang-on back filters that I have on here. I'm not counting on those filters as the home of beneficial bacteria. Sure, bacteria is going to grow there. Bacteria grows everywhere. It's on the rocks, it's on the plants, it's on the wood. But what I'm counting on, because I'm not messing with it, is a bountiful beneficial bacteria in that deep substrate, ultimately for the purpose of having healthy fish. In this tank, I'm probably going to have the severums, the geophagus. Just like in the other tank, the African cichlid tank, I'll have peacocks. But there will be larger tanks, 125, a 220, and those tanks will be the home for larger fish like the viejas as they put on size. And I hope eventually to have an African cichlid tank that has some of the larger specimens. And by that what I mean is, the trouts, the hawks, the venusis, the fuscos, and those will go into a tank using the same philosophy of using filtration for polishing, and again using a deep substrate of 3 or more inches where I can harbor and cultivate beneficial bacteria. And what I'm trying to create is a very stable environment where maintenance and cleaning of the tanks doesn't disrupt things too much and create fluctuations in ammonia and nitrate and things like that by having a very firm foundation that is very unshakable, because it's primarily in the substrate that is really getting just a light surface vacuum and isn't really being turned over or messed with at all. I'm not doing any deep raking or anything like that. So tell me your thoughts about what you think about this. If you've tried something like this. I know very expensive filter media manufacturers don't like this approach, but it is a proven old school approach, and it's one that I'm currently going with. I also have a question for you, but first I'd like to invite you to join me and a lot of very fun fish keepers for the Cichlids and Coffee live stream. That occurs on Saturdays. It's currently at 10 a.m. Central. That could change, but for right now, it's 10 a.m. Central Time. That's 8 a.m. Pacific and noon Eastern. And a quick survey question for you. You probably know that currently this is the channel icon, and it's a picture of a Taiwan reef in the middle of a very nice design that was made for me from a fellow in the UK. And I'm thinking of possibly swapping it out with something that removes African from cichlid, since I'm diversifying now. What do you think of this logo? Tell me what you think below. Thank you so much for tuning in. That's it for me. Bye-bye.